Hey everybody, it's April Henry. Um, Man, I hate Facebook Live. It just does its own thing sometimes. I do not understand why it changes around. I assume I'm live now. Well, it says live. I guess I'm live. Hey, so it's April Henry. This is my 26th Facebook video. You can watch all my previous ones on my website, aprilhenry.com, or on my YouTube channel, which is also called April Henry. My plan is to do these every weekday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time until I run out of topics. I have mostly run out of interesting shirts to talk about. This is a Garnet Hill merino sweater. I love them because they're really lightweight and they're perfect for when I travel. And I had one that was identical to this, and I threw it in the washing machine when I got home from a trip. And wool and water and warm water do not mix, and so it came out very tiny. Well, luckily for me, my sister-in-law is much smaller than me, so uh, I gave her my sweater, and I saw her earlier today. It's her birthday. Happy birthday, Karen. And so she is wearing my version, or her version of my favorite sweater. So, book-wise, I thought I would talk about a couple of books. One is called Blood Secrets by Rod Englert. He is Oregonian. I met him when he was doing signings for this. And I really liked this book. It was about how he kind of taught himself how to understand blood spatter. However, I have somewhat reevaluated my feelings toward him because he was the key witness in a trial that you can read about on the New York Times, where a woman said that a stranger came into her house and used one of her own kitchen knives to stab her child, and that she chased him out of the house. And he testified that she had committed the murder. He said the proof was the fact that there was blood, her son's blood, on her clothes. Well, she did have a struggle with the attacker, and the amount of blood was really minute. Um, no one really believed her. She ended up in prison for her son's murder, which must have been agonizing. And then it finally came out that there was a guy who was randomly picking houses, going in, taking a knife from the kitchen, and stabbing children, which is horrific. But Rod Englert has not backed down on his assertion that she did commit the murder. So I actually think I'm going to be putting this in a little free library. Another book I was going to talk about is Speed by M.T. Anderson. I just love this book. I would totally recommend reading it. It has the world's best first sentence. It's set in the future, and it's, we went to the moon to have fun, but the moon turned out to completely suck. So I would recommend that book. So I'm going to talk real quickly about creating kick-ass chapter endings. Chapter endings, tomorrow I'm going to be talking about getting characters to talk and ideas for series plots, but today chapter endings. And chapter endings really influence how your reader is going to interact with your book and how they're going to read it. So they need to end on a note of drama. They need to look ahead, not behind. If you can, they need to end on a cliffhanger rather than just simply summing up what has just taken place. That's boring. You want your reader to want to keep reading. So some possible ways for your chapter to end are that it ends with new information coming to light. It's characters' emotions changing for the worse. It's failing to obtain something. Someone refuses to help them. They make a decision. They're confronted by a dilemma. They face some kind of disaster or even just a complication. So I was reading a book a few years ago that had some very flat, quiet chapter endings, and I realized that was why I did not engage with it as much as I could have. There were some good ones, like the character hears 3 shots, and then the last sentence is, "My heart flew into my throat." So you want to know, what were those shots? What happened? Another chapter ended with, "As I pulled the cart away from the general, all I could think about was whether they would eat the dog." This book is a post-apocalyptic novel. But there were many more that were just flat. Like, here are some other last sentences from the chapters. I suppose that was what she used to tell her kids back in school. Oh, here's another one. Tell them 8 o'clock at the old town hall upstairs. It's for a meeting. Um, Dale Murray seemed to grasp that the jokes would continue at his expense, so he cut his losses and called the meeting to order. Now, that is kind of looking forward to the meeting, but it's also very boring. By then, the true darkness of night was creeping over town and stealing into the third floor of the old town hall, and since nobody had brought any candles, I moved to adjourn the meeting. Sentences like that will make your reader think it's time to adjourn their reading and go to bed. So if you want to look at some really great kick-ass chapter endings, look at The Hunger Games. Chapter 4 ends with, which also means that kind Peter Malark, the boy who gave me the bread, is fighting hard to kill me. Chapter 5, but because two can play at this game, I stand on tiptoe and kiss his cheek right on the bruise. Chapter 6, I wonder if she will enjoy watching me die. All of those endings make you want to read ahead. If you are looking forward, you have a note of drama, not just summing up what just took place, it makes your reader want to keep reading. So your assignment, should you choose to accept it, is to go through a book you've read and liked, or a book you're reading right now, and see how they handle their chapter endings. Is there an underlying precept that you can emulate or steal, as we sometimes call it? Is there the way they approach their chapter endings that makes you want to read? Can you do that in your own work? So tomorrow, I'll be talking about getting characters to talk and ideas for series plots. I hope you guys have a great day that is productive as you can possibly be, as happy as you possibly can be. And again, happy birthday, Karen. Bye-bye.